a passing, right? It didn't um it didn't make a difference to me which paper it was because it's all about teaching techniques then. It's all about, sorry, not teaching techniques, but exam technique, right? So I think this is 2018 paper, I believe. Yeah, 2018. Seen 2018 there, right? So it's all about the technique anyway, right? So for those amongst us here, remember the exam, I believe is the 7th of May. It's a face-to-face exam. It's a Wednesday morning, and the address for the venue, if you're not quite sure, I have been saying it before, but as we get closer now, it's still about a month away, isn't it? Right? Yeah, exactly. About a month away, right? Today is the 6th, right? So the venue is Riverside Drive, San Fernando, right? If one could probably write that down. Riverside Drive, San Fernando, and that is just after where this new grocery is at now, right? So if you're coming down into Gulf City, Gulfview Link Road, I guess if you're taking it from the lights on top there, right? I'll give you a location coming closer and stuff, right? So you come down there and then you, of course, pass the mall and there is that new grocery now. They are not too sure what it is, if it's a food basket, whatever, right? And as the road after that is Riverside Drive. There's a sign and for those who know it, Wassa has a um, water treatment plant in the back. There's a straight road, in fact. The road doesn't have too much of corners. The old UE, South UE, was inside here in Padmore Street. Riverside Drive is the main road and Padmore Street is a side road, right? But if you stick on the Riverside Drive, there is a school inside here. There's a sign, the Professional School of Accountancy Limited. That is the venue for the exam on the Wednesday morning, right? That's our main facility. In fact, have been our main facility for the last, I would say 15 years and more. But because of the pandemic, remember, we haven't really been there when they switched to online classes. But if anybody was wrong, I'm not too sure if anybody was wrong. I do have students are wrong, like people like Alicia. Alicia is not on the live, but Alicia, they know me more than that then, like longer than the pandemic years then, right? This is 2025. But prior to the pandemic, that is where classes have always been. Today, Sunday, we would have been there. Saturday, we would have been there. In the night, we would have been there. That is the main facility, right? Parking is kind of limited, but then it's only about 10 to 15 students. Parking is limited anywhere you go, but students can park inside the facility. But parking is limited, right? So you'll have to park. Some people have to park along the roadway. Just make sure if you all are doing that and put all of that in the chat coming closer that you don't park in front of anybody gate then, right? There's a kind of residential area. We survived there for more than 10 years and we had, like I said, endless classes and everybody knew, like if you're parking, don't park in front of anybody's gate, right? Because during the exam, the general manager down there will come out and tell you you have to go and move your vehicle, right? So try not to do that, right? But that's the venue. There's a cafe down there. Your exam is only 2 hours long. So about half nine, I think, is when we start, but you should be there for 9 o'clock. Should probably be there for about 9 o'clock, right? 10. But no, but you start half nine, right? I mean, you have to be there before half nine, right? To be seated and stuff, park your vehicles and stuff, right? But they will start you by half nine, half 10, half 11 would be the exam, right? That particular street, like I said, and I mean that's a Wednesday morning, that's a working morning. Traffic is normally bad, right? I mean, getting into San Fernando and that Gulfview Link Road then is like a main road to get into San Fernando. So you should probably be on the road way before that, right? You shouldn't say that because we start at 9:30. Most of us don't come there. Some people come there for 8 o'clock in the morning, right? 8, 8:30. Um, you could have a sit, have something to eat, stay in your car, do some studies, whatever have you, right? But once inside the room now, you are not allowed any sort of books and whatever have you, right? So like you just allowed like your pens, pencils, no phones. Phones don't have to be turned off or kept in front. No smart devices, no smart watches, right? Just you then, you and your pens. Not too sure if you want to bring in a calculator or whatever have you. Not too sure if that could be useful on the day, but you would not be able to use your phone then, right? In the day of the exam, and then there would be like a number. Your student number would be where you'll be seated at. And then from there, the examiner will take it from there, right? I'll be there as well. Just to kind of look over the process. They will give you a booklet. They'll give you the booklet to write on. Then the exam papers will be open in front of you all, and you'll be given your exam paper and asked to start, right? Like I said, it's a quick set of writing because it's just about 2 hours anyway, right? So I would coming close, like I said, I'll give you a location for there. I'll put some of this on the WhatsApp group. You'll address, like I said, about 10 to 15 people. 15 because we have some repeaters writing in. So it'll be about 15 people in all, right? But remember, like I said, that is a working day. You need a day off, and yeah, I guess you could take the whole day because when you all have finished 11, not too sure what you'll do the rest of the day. Maybe you can take the rest of the day for yourself, etc. Right? But that's the idea of the written exam. There's a clock in front of the wall. There's a clock in front of the wall where you all will be sitting. But I did mention, I think I remember telling you all you probably need like a watch, but not a smartwatch. A watch is a good way to kind of time yourself, as opposed to keep looking up on the wall to the clock, right? You could probably just time yourself, like a question, 6 marks, 8 marks, 4 marks, 2 marks would would of course mean that amount of time as well, right? So let's gonna get into this one. So remember the paper has 11 questions, and the first question is worth 20 marks. The pass mark is 45. Try not to leave out the first question. This, of course, is 2018 paper if anybody came in late, right? At the same time, you can start from any question. And so that's a good idea. You normally do get 10-minute reading time, right? So I'll have to double check that, right? I haven't been around because I'm not the supervisor, but you may get a 10-minute reading time. I'll have to see what is in front of the booklet. This is actually an examiner's report, so not a booklet, right? But I think you are given a 10-minute reading time, and in that reading time, you should use it so wisely to plan your questions then. Like I was telling you, some people don't even look through to see what's like number 10 or number 11 because like to get 45, you just need to do 6 good questions. If you target 8 good questions, 8 is 64, the pass mark is 45. A typical question is worth, like 8 marks, right? So like look through the paper in the 10 minutes. If you think number two is a good one, whatever you think is a good one, you can give a go at that, right? But look through all the questions, right? And then just be, like aware then that you could start with number 7. You can start at number 8. You just have to put it on the paper. Like your first question could actually be number 8, right? Your first question could actually be number 11. But some people never even reach down here that. Some people like, like coming to the end, they will hear the examiner say, time or time up, but they never really look at number 11, right? When I just saying, I mean, I'm not saying this one, but number 11 could have been an easy one. There could have been 8 easy questions inside there, right? As long as you stick to the pattern of giving it, like 8 for 8, right? Each one, of course, this is number 11 here is identify. So then one line is sufficient. Don't overdo it. One line is sufficient. 1.5 line. I guess the line could overflow then into a line and a word. That would be sufficient anyway. right? So there is no case study. I know a lot of the modern exams have a case study, but there's no case study. You just have to start and get it done, right? Um, so without any further ado, I guess let's pick one, right? I mean, let's pick one. Um, like to me, it doesn't make a difference though, right? Let's pick one and let's see where you come up with, right? I think number six. Again, I'm not too sure where your studies have reached, if anywhere at all. But I think I was saying last week, a month is a good time. A month is a good time to study, right? A month is more than enough, right? Because human beings now we tend to forget, right? So if you're studying for a month, you'll forget. Like if you started today, today's the 6th of April, you'll forget what you studied by the 7th of May, right? We tend to not retain information like human beings. So what you can do now is a lot of reading and not just studying, right? Like read and digest the material and stuff like that, right? At the same time, if you have a head on, you can do a question. So let's have a look at this one. This one here is number 8. Um, so a contractor, I just pick anyone, because like I didn't want to pick a knowledge one, because I don't know where you reach in your studies now. This is a knowledge-based question. Define what is vapor pressure and vapor density and stuff, right? So I sort of chose one here that could be kind of common sense-ish. Knowing that if it didn't study, maybe it could still answer some of this, right? So a contractor is to be chosen for a large, complex task. Identify documents that could be used to decide whether the contractor is competent to carry out the task effectively, right? So if you for Chenille and Jessica and Devon and Nigel, let me see who I get this here. We have Akash, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And myself would make 7, right? So I'm gonna give you a chance to do this, right? I'm gonna give you about a 10 minutes. I did say at the start of today's class, if you have any writing paper, if not, you can probably go and get it. Now, one sheet of paper is sufficient. This is an 8-mark question. This shouldn't even cross. Um, this is an identify question. So um, A2 is 16 lines. I'm just saying if you take 2 lines for an answer, but one line is sufficient, one sentence is sufficient. And I'll come back in the live in a bit and hear what you have, right? So identify documents. It could be used to decide whether the contractor um, is competent to carry out the task safely. So a contractor is to be chosen for a large and complex task. They didn't say what it was, but identify documents that could be used to decide whether the contractor is competent to carry out the task safely, right? So coming off the live a bit, I've given you 10 minutes. It's about 1:21, and I'll come back on and hear what answers you have, right? For this particular question. See how best you can get it done. See if you can do it from the top of your head, or remember there's no open book nature of this, so you can't look back at anything, right? Just see if you could write out I would probably guess 16 lines at most. Uh, 2 lines identify question is kind of long. Maybe 1.5 line is sufficient. 2 lines. So eight twos now is 16. Every point would be like a 1.5 line, 1.5 line. And you need to come up with 8 of those, right? So coming off a bit, I'll come back on at 1:32 right here though, and I'll hear what you have for this particular question. Do you have any questions before I give it that time though? So time yourself for 10 minutes. So when I stop talking, when I tell you it's still 1:22, time yourself like a 8-mark question is about 10 minutes and see if you could just get it, written out in a bit. I just don't want the word, I want to hear the full sentence when we come back on the live. Any questions from anybody? All right. Well, I'll hear from you all in the next 10 minutes anyway, right? I'll come back. I'm right here, sitting right here. I'll come on back at 1:33, right? All right, just so Christopher that keep me there. Christopher, so we are trying number six, right? So you could give number six a try, give yourself 10 minutes and see what answers you come up with for number six here. Just about 2 minutes again, and I'll come in with the answers that you all have, right? Just about 1:34. You see how fast the time went by, right? I'll give you 2 extra minutes for this one though. All right. So I would probably ask her to stop writing because I mean I know most of you will have the cameras off. But if you can stop writing, so just where you reach is just where you reach is where you reach now, right? So you can just kind of um sort of time yourself with that anyway, right? The sort of exam is a real thing too, like when they say stop writing, but they won't say stop writing until the very end, right? Till like, at the end of the 2 hours. But just kind of time yourself now, just to kind of gauge like how fast you needed to do it, right? So I guess on the thing here we have Chenille first. That is what the pitiers rule anyway. Um, so the first person I'd ask says, well, were you able to get all eight? Yeah. Were you able to get all eight answers? And like I said, if you finish us, so Shane, could unmute the mic and let me know. I don't know if there's a delay on the internet or whatever have you. And I'm not able to hear as yet. I guess you need to unmute the mic. So were you able to get all eight? Still unable to hear. Hmm. Anybody else wanna probably just kind of kick it off? If anybody else was able to get all eight answers.
So I would take a try, sir. I'm driving right now,
Yes.
but I would thinking to the top of my head. You hear me clearly, right?
Yes, yes, Nigel, I could hear you clear. Yeah.
You hear me, sir?
Yes. Yes, Nigel.
Yeah, so as I was driving, but at the top of my head, I would say certificates of completion for the employees, the contractor's accident record.
Right, very
I
good
was
with that one.
thinking the lines
Yeah.
of third-party inspection certificates for equipment, um,
Okay.
past or pertinent work experience.
Correct.
Um, I have two more. Past and pertinent work experience. The
Mhm.
sufficiency of the risk assessments and maybe a HSE management system of some kind of framework for the execution of the job. That's what
Right.
I was thinking.
Right. Okay, good, good. So good thoughts, good thoughts. Just with respect to the management system, probably you should have zoned down, like how you zone down to the risk assessment, you could have zoned down to like a document, because a management
What's
system
the
is
next?
huge, like maybe like a safe system of work or a permit to work or something. Something like that you could have kind of zeroed down for the answer, right? Okay, but thanks,
Okay.
Nigel. Thanks for giving it a try. At least I know you were on the road there. So I'll ask, but I wanted to go through the line to see how much of you all would have gotten it. But let's go again then. If not, Shanine, let's probably go to Jessica. Jessica is the next person on the list here. So again, the question is, were you able to finish? Jessica, are you there? If not Jessica, then we're gonna roll on then to Devon. Devon is the next person here. Devon, let me see. Devon, could you hear me on your side? If not, Devon, we go down to Alicia, Kayan, then maybe Akash, then Christopher, Goben last. But oh, Devon may have come in a bit later,
Mm.
wonder.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yes, Devon, I can hear you.
So I have um risk assessment, previous history, doing the same type of task, health and safety policy, past accident record,
Yeah.
certificate to prove competency for the workforce, certificate, certificate of the equipment, like the lifting equipment, the checks for the PM on the whatever equipment you're using. I was just jotting only points because I came in kind of late.
Yeah.
Past reference from similar job and insurance or workers example, workers compensation, because yeah.
I could probably help you with that one. Let me see. You could probably have the how it's called, boy, the just now the what's it called? The employer's liability insurance. The contractor
Yeah,
now, if
right,
they have
right. Workers, well,
um
yeah.
if the contractor have like liability insurance, I think was the word used for it in England. Uh, but that's what they call employer's liability insurance, right? So the contractor, like if you hire a contractor, you should ensure that the contractor have insurance, public liability insurance, right? So that could help there. But I mean, did you, because I was kind of paying attention to the quality of the answers, but how much did you have and not just the quantity? Like how much did you come up with? Did you come up with the eight?
9.
Check your points and see, did you have the eight?
You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you
Yeah.
still. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, we can hear you, Devon. So the question was, did you have the
Yeah,
eight? Yeah,
the
okay,
eight.
all right,
So
right, right,
yeah, I got 8 points.
okay,
Safety policy, risk assessment, past history of doing the same task,
yeah,
health and safety policy, accident record, certificate to prove competency of workers, past reference, insurance for workers, and certificate for equipment.
right, okay. Just remember, because it's an identified question, like yeah, you would have had to write it in a full sentence and on the day for the exam, right? And not just like the HSE policy. So like, so the whole class could listen to this, right? So when you said the HSE policy, like the way that could have been written was to say, you can take part of the line from here, right? You can probably say like, another document that could be used to decide whether the contractor is competent, was the contractor's health and safety policy. You can probably put a comma and say that this would stay the overall goal and vision
So
for
you're
health
breaking
and
up.
safety. First up, yeah, I know I kind of breaking up. I told you the internet is kind of giving trouble today. Hence, I like those who came in early, I said I wasn't able to upload any video. If anybody was on in my classes yesterday, now we're not able to upload any videos. I have been trying the computer running and we have been trying to upload it for the whole morning, but no videos would have been uploaded. Is the audio any better now? Is it better now?
Yeah, it comes and goes, but yeah, we
Yeah,
hear
it
you.
comes and goes. I think it have to do with the weather. Yeah, it's a bit overcast here in
I
San
think the
Fernando.
audio visual kind of using up a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah, yeah. And that's B Mobile for you. I mean, that's what I have here anyway, right? But I mean, the internet box looks to be fully. It says like full service. It's just what is available is probably not full service anyway. All right. But Devon, thanks there. I think we got the most of that one. Did you all get the most of the way I said it, or do I need to say it back? We want to say it back again. I could use another one that Devon had. He mentioned like certificates of equipment and things like the way to put it in a full sentence would have been you can't say
You could use
another
Lola,
doc.
right? You could have put in the Lola regulation as well to show compliance.
Yeah, you could add that in. Yeah, you could say that like for certificate of equipment, you could have said, but you're taking in the back from here now. You're saying a document that could be used to decide. So that's what you're writing. uh, Whether the contractor was competent was the equipment certification. And if you want, you could pick one. Then Devon just choose one. Right? Like for example, um, lifting equipment should be certifiable to Lola, right? Which is the lifting equipment regulation 1998, and you put a full stop there. But when you do that, you realize that's a good 2 lines. So then that's a really good answer, right? Because it's more than a line, identifies about a line and a little bit. But by putting it like that, you can get like a good 2 lines out of it now, right? So for the whole class, I want you to learn the technique now, like learn how the technique goes, even if we don't get to all of you all on, even if the internet is giving trouble. If you can hear anything at all, just kind of do the rest of them like that, right? So thanks to Nigel, thanks to Devon. Let's if we could come back to maybe Jessica or maybe Jessica or maybe Chanel. Then we have Akash. But let's hear from Jessica, or maybe Alicia, if anybody's ready to go and just kind of give us some of the answers. First of all, I wanted to answer like the question then, which was, were you able to get all eight? And how was that? I mean, like, how was that activity, writing 8 answers in 10 minutes time? Because it is kind of daunting, right? It is kind of daunting, right? If anybody want to have a go, Jessica or Alicia Kine, any one of you will be the next 2 persons, and then we'll come back to Akash and Christopher. Crystal Thomas joined us late, so we wouldn't ask her anything on this particular question. Maybe if I do another one, I'll give you another one to do.
Can you hear me?
Yes, this is just tell me who is the person, though, because Chanel, or is it Jessica?
I'm I'm not sure if you were hearing me because you were breaking up on your end as well.
Right. Yeah, but we can hear you now.
I had a question, right? With
Sure.
regard, um, I had put as one of my answers the HSC management system, right? I know Devon was a little more specific in saying
Yeah.
the HSC policy statement. Um, so you could have been more specific and pull out like elements of the management system than for an answer like this.
Which one did you have? Just tell me the one that you had.
I put I put the management system, HSC management system.
Yeah, I think you see a management system is a big document. Let me see. They say they ask for documents, but a management system is like a collection of documents. So I think you need it to be more
Mhm.
specific, right? As how because there are many documents in a
Okay,
management system. For example, we mentioned the HSC
okay,
policy.
no problem.
Devon mentioned risk assessments. So like
Right.
the
Yeah.
words management system then is like a category. It's not an actual document, right? It's like a category of sorry of documents. So you could probably give a more accurate answer like risk assessments or permit to work or something like that. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's get back to the next 2 places, right? I had some fruits to eat, so I think one of them went down the wrong way. Jessica or maybe Alicia Kyan, like if you could kind of relate maybe what your experience was like in getting the 8 answers and maybe give us a couple of them.
Good
Um,
afternoon, sir.
hi, hi,
Yeah,
hi,
I
hi,
got
Alicia.
all your question answers. So
Mhm.
you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you good. Yeah, I can
So
hear
I
you all
have
fine. Yeah, yeah.
Documents a contractor must have to be chosen for a large and complex task are training certificates, resume, and records to validate that the contractor is competent for the task. The contractor must also have relevant permits showing he or she have the authorization to undertake the task safely. The contractor must have insurance documents and other applicable documents in the event of an accident. The contractor must also provide a reference list of past clients for the contractor to be evaluated. The contractor must also indicate the steps in which he or she will take to safely execute the task. The contractor must also provide historical data on incidents for evaluation and a copy of their risk assessment to evaluate and ensure that the contractor risk rating is in line with the task. That's all I have.
Okay, but Alicia, that's very good. That's excellent, right? I like the length of them. I don't know if you could hear me clearly on your side, but I like the length of it. You did put it in a sentence. I listened to them. I like the length of them, right? If by chance, Alicia and anybody that wrote it down, if by chance you want to just take like a picture of it and send it to me on WhatsApp, um, I can still kind of give you a feedback on it then, right? But that one sounded really nice. Um, I would have liked to see it though, because the reason like seeing it, I was listening to it, but and then all of them sounded well, right? But I would like to see it. If anybody like if you wrote what you wrote there, take a picture and send it for me now, right? After class, I have another class. Yes, I have, and remember I have process safety after you all. But I would want to kind of give you a comment on it, right? If anybody did it, we're gonna do one again. Take a picture and send it for me, right? That one sounded really nice. I would have liked to see Oli to make sure that you didn't repeat yourself anywhere, right? Remember the trick with NEBOSH. Sometimes people like you didn't seem to repeat yourself, but I would have liked to see it, right? Sometimes people like the one on training, right? The one on training, um, it would have been nice if you specified that training, right? So I know you said training certificates, that's excellent. You could probably just specify a training, maybe like I seen a large complex task, right? You said they didn't say anything here, but maybe you could pick a training, defensive driving, first aid, work at height, because it's a large complex task, right? They didn't say complex. So maybe work at height. So you can give your answer substance then, and then that kind of gives it a better feel then, because if anywhere as you mentioned something with training, which I don't think you did, but if you said work at height then that would be specific. So that's how that answer would be correct. And another answer wouldn't repeat, right? So I see you all sending it, but remember talking to you also. I can't look down on the phone as yet, right? I'll look at them afterwards. All right. Let's hear then from Akash was also here from the beginning. Christopher kind of joined us into the first one, but I'll still ask Christopher what you came up with, right? Please do not cheat. Like I said, when I say don't,
Hi sir.
yeah.
I faltered. I got 7, but I could have written more, but I just stopped and was my fault. But basically, I wrote contractors should be assessed on cost, experience, availability, reliability, and their HSC records and performance. Contractors should also determine, clients should also determine if subcontracting is acceptable and how will these risks be managed. So basically, it was 7 there, but I could have written more, but my fault, as I said.
Okay. You want to give me just one of your answers again? Just go back one. Because was that 2 answers or was that all the answers? Yeah, just give me one answer.
Cost.
But you had cost with other answers, or was it just because I heard I was trying to figure if it had more than one
So I
answer?
wrote it in a sentence.
Right. So what would the sentence have been
Yeah,
like?
so I wrote. So contractors should be assessed on cost, experience, availability, reliability, and their HSC records and performance. Clients should also determine if subcontracting is acceptable and how will these risks be managed. That's how I wrote it.
So are all the answers, are those the 7 answers there?
Yes.
Okay, no, remember that's not the technique, right? Like
Okay.
they would not mark that. So remember what you need to do. You need to pull out each one. You need to take each one
Oh,
and treat it separately, right?
okay.
Because remember they don't give like how they will say that is two, they will say that as two answers. And the
Right.
fact that you have more than one answer in one, you wouldn't get any marks for it. You'll actually get zero for that, even if it's correct, because they it have more than one answer in the same line then, right?
Right.
Um, with respect to costs, let me just kind of help with some of that, right? Like the AXA documents. So, like a way to say, just keep it in your same answer of cost, right? So, a way to say it is that you'd want to say, like, the contractor should have probably had like an approved budget. Because that's the only way, because cost is not a document, but a budget is a document. The rest of you all seen that as well? Tell me if you agree. Cost is not a document, right? But a budget is a document. The question asks for documents, right? So, like, if you are bidding for, well, this is what a contractor is, because a contractors bid for jobs. So you could probably ask for the tender, like a way to say that would have been like the tendering cost or the approved budget, to demonstrate that the contractor have resources to undertake this work in the large, complex task anyway, right? So did you all see that trick with the word there? So just not for you all, but for everybody. You have to be able to put it the way they say it then, right? So if you ask a document, you want to kind of give them a budget. Sorry, I leave out the G, right? BUDGET. Squeeze in that there for me, right? So you give the approved budget or the tendering. So a tender is actually a document now. So the AXA documents. Could I get a next one? So what is it what you had after cost? I'll try to pull that one out for you too. After cost, you had what?
I had experience.
Right. So we could probably use Nigel had an answer for this. So what you want to but experience is not a document. So we have to turn experience in a document. But Nigel had given an answer for that, right? So like a way to get the document to show experience could have been like past clients, like references from past clients. A reference list then. Past references, right? That's a document. Well, you could put in a document, you could ask a reference letter, right? So past reference, I'll put it as a letter just to emphasize the fact that they were looking for documents, right? So past reference letters of work done, right? So that's a document saying that the contractor have the competence to undertake that kind of work, right? Past reference letter of work done. Did you all understand it a bit? The rest of us here? I think some of us do, right? And please remember to put it in the sort of thing that NEBOSH, that's the verb then, the verb. So the verb here, a verb is an action word. The verb is, sorry, I see the internet sticking again. But the verb here is identify, and identify is like the way NEBOSH interpret that is like 1.5 lines, right? So if you put in the first answer in a sentence, you say, a document that could have been used to decide whether the contractor is competent is the approved budget. If they want to go tender, demonstrating that they have the resources to undertake work in the large complex tasks. That's a good two-sentence. You're going to get it correct like that, right? This one, experience, but you had to break experience down into a document, right? And so you say, document that could be used to decide whether the contractor's competence is at least 2 reference letters of past work done. If you want, you could put a full stop right in because it's just an identify question. Just tell me if you all understand it. Not just one person. If but the rest of us, Christopher. I have some degree students, like so I know Alicia and Crystal Thomas, and them should be okay with this technique, as well as Nigel, right?
Question.
Mhm. Yes, go ahead.
You can break it up into categories like the compliance, legal compliance, and you put like 3, which would be for example, like how I put the policy, health
Yeah.
and safety policy in accordance with
Public liability insurance. Nothing is wrong with that, but I'm not.
being
I mean, if
sure that
there's,
it's in compliance with regulation, local regulation.
but what would be the document though? What would be the document to show that compliance? Because they ask for documents. No, I could tell you the
Yeah.
document, but asking you what would be the document.
Like risk assessment according to the Health and Safety Work Act, you need to show a suitable and adequate
Yes,
risk
a risk
assessment.
assessment would work. A
No, I
risk
think if
assessment.
you break them up into categories like compliance with law or regulation, you could get points there. If
Yeah,
you put
yeah,
like certification, you could get
points
points
there as
there,
well.
or
Different types
could
of
get
things. Yeah, yeah.
examples there.
Not a problem. I see it as a simpler question where you just give them 8 documents as opposed to thinking about a category. I just think about kind of like what Chenille said and kind of like what you said, Jake. You just think about 8 documents in a management system, right? But nothing wrong with putting a category first. They didn't really ask for a category. They just said identify documents. I would have just thought about a document one time. Nigel mentioned permit to work. You mentioned risk assessment. All of those are documents, right? A budget. Akash mentioned cost, so I was trying to translate cost into a document. A document is like paper-based now, or even digital-based. But the point is, it is either a Word document or a PDF. But the thing is, it is a document. So I was trying to put it in a document. Nothing is wrong with the category version of it. In my mind, though, like if you have 10 minutes to me, you can just give them the documents, right? But nothing is wrong with thinking about like that. I mean, we have been spending more than 10 minutes on this question. So maybe we are giving it more thought, but then the day of an exam is just to give the documents, right? Christopher, I know you came in late. Again, thanks for all the answers. Christopher, so Akash, you understand it, right? You understand you have to give them 8 like that and not in 2 sentences, right? The how NEBOSH check how the examiners mark. If you had two small paragraphs, they would just check it as 2. And if something in that 2 was correct, even if you had more answers in the same line, McCuss would not have been correct because remember, CUS is not a document. Experience was not a document either. But
Right.
if you had like, I mean, this is your 3 lines, right? Or your 4 lines. If you had, let's say, if one of the answers is correct there, all you will get is just 1. So this is how sometimes, like I said, somebody would write a whole paper. They'd write a whole paper when results come out,
Right.
they watch the mark and they find what the mark not making sense. Because how I write a whole paper and I get 36. How I write a whole paper and I get 44, right? Because I write a whole paper. But yeah, I don't understand the nature of the beast now. The nature of the beast says that NEBOSH doesn't give like 10 marks for this. They're reading this and what wrong inside they're wrong. And if one correct, or if it have more than one correct, you're still getting 1 mark. Because the thing is, they only checking that there once. Because what they should have seen 8 different answers there. So if one of your answers, we're just assuming this is the first one, when they check 1 mark, that's the most you're getting because you really only have one answer inside there. Even if you have 2 correct answers, 3 correct answers, 4 correct answers, they're checking it like ball for ball. You know, I think we say that like cricket, like ball by ball. Like every ball you hit, you have to run. And if it's 8 runs, you had to hit 8 balls then, at least. Well, I guess in this sense, right? But they don't give a whole mass amount of marks. As long as they give 1 mark for that point, that is 1 mark. They're gonna just see it as 2 answers you had, and you're probably just gonna get 2 marks for an 8-mark question. Right? So NEBOSH is funny. It is possible to fail NEBOSH with the correct answer because it's all about technique as well as answers, right? So technique is very important. 8 for 8 is very important. Christopher, if we could, or did he run away? Christopher, if we could ask again. I know you came in just when we were 2 minutes into it, Christopher. You came in, we're just 2 minutes into it. I'd given him 8 minutes, sorry. It was 8 minutes or 10 minutes to write. So Christopher, could you tell me if you got maybe 8 answers?
I did not get 8 answers, but I can tell you what I had.
Yeah, sure.
Hello?
Yes, yeah, Christopher, go
Okay,
ahead.
so I had to, you needed the references from prior clients to ensure that the work done in past was up to a certain safety standard and done at a reasonable amount of time. I had requests for accreditations to see what type of training the company body would have and would adhere to. I
Okay,
had
could you just
training
okay, so
records to ensure
for the
that
for the one in accreditation, what would have been the document though? You say a request. Could you repeat that one for me?
well
Mm.
accreditations to find out what bodies the company would adhere to. So NEBOSH qualifications, ISO certifications, IOSH,
But
things
you
like
had
that.
that in the answer, but like you had the actual word certification in the answer, or you just adding it in
No,
now?
I didn't have.
Yeah, because remember the thing is still is document.
I
So
just added it now. I
yes,
didn't have
yeah,
that.
like you could request certification, or should you say in this case, um, well, the truth is certification and
Accreditation.
accreditation is two different things, eh? So contractors, let me clear this up.
Oh,
Um, so contractors could become accredited, as we know from Trinidad and Tobago. Here we have STO, right? Those of us in Trinidad here we have STO. So STO is an accreditation. So, but like you could have said a document that could have been requested is accreditation from certifying bodies, probably such as ISO, because NEBOSH would know what STO is, right? NEBOSH does not know what STO is, but you know what ISO is. So, you can say, request for accreditation such as ISO 45001, and then that would be a document. And then if you trail off a bit, you can still access certificates, but that'll be another point. So accreditation and certification is two separate things anyway. Because I think what you wanted to
okay.
say, I hear you talking about for employees, and then that's more certificates. I hear you saying training. So that's more certificates and not really accreditation. But the certificates would be correct as a point because the certificates are documents in themselves then.
No, I had training records as a different point.
Oh, a different point.
So
Okay.
I would want them to have training done and signed off by the individual employees.
Right. Okay, good. You had anything else? So that would have been about three. Anything out of those accreditation certification thing?
Um, no, that was all.
Okay, all right, good. How
Hello?
much did you get though in all out of the eight?
Just three.
Three. Okay, but I know you came in a bit late. But how was the experience of writing and like writing, um, those three took you the eight
Um,
minutes?
it was a bit strange. I didn't write so much in a while.
Yeah, yeah, I know that's what we said. And remember with this kind of exam, folks remember, like when they say stop now, like when they say stop, you have to stop. Um, sometimes I'm good with the examiner to give it like a 2 minutes, 3 minutes extra. But the thing is, I'm not allowed in the room, right? I know, you know, then sometimes the NEBOSH just send like the British embassy to oversee these exams. And in those cases, you have no extra time. You say start, you start. You say stop, you stop. Right? But it's just to kind of get it writing off. Let's do another one where we have some persons that join us in. We had so all who took part, thanks very much. Remember, it's not perfect. I know today's Sunday. We just, it's a tough day to write anything at all, right? But it's a good exercise, right? It's a good exercise today. Please remember, I said, for those who came in late, we are getting lots of trouble for like people came in late. Yesterday I was saying I tried three payments, right? And none of the payments went through, right? So Nigel, who came by the office, he didn't really miss much because most likely what would have happened would have been the same thing. Till about maybe 5:30, I had people sitting waiting, trying their cards, and it wasn't. Well, I mean, I don't know the situation with the card, but I would want to say that maybe three payments failed. It had to do something with the internet or something on the island here. right? Because it's kind of weird because other days people get through, they get through very quickly and it takes about 5 minutes, right? But if it came in late, remember this Friday is the deadline for payment for oil and gas. So we have a limited time. Then why limited time? Because remember you are working, I am working, so it's a kind of coordinate now, right? But what I'll do from tomorrow, um, I'll kind of start from the register. No, we did some of you all already, right? Like I registered Shanila, already. I believe Devon has been registered already. I believe Alicia Kyan has been registered already, right? That's because some of these people paid up front. Like when I mean up front, like months now, right? So like since January now, right? Some people paid off in full since that month. So what we did, I was able to get my sister, those of us who know Janet, to kind of do some of the payment as well as Kevin. Kevin is the general manager of the company. But the thing is, they could only do so much because everybody have restrictions. Now, I remember every bank in Trinidad now restricts, so we could be like, we could only ask persons then. But if you have your card, I'm gonna try tomorrow to kind of touch base with one or two of you, see if we can schedule maybe a couple in the day. If I see them going through, that kind of motivate me to call more of you. If I see them not going through, then I would have to, kind of wait and see. But we need to get them in by Friday, right? So I believe half of you all have been registered already because some of you all have been doing it, right? And the other half have not been because we have not been doing it, right? But we have this week to kind of get that sorted out, right? Friday is not my deadline, it's the NEBOSH deadline. So once you miss that now, you wouldn't be able to write on May the 7th. And remember, this is kind of the last exam it have anyway, right? So we try to get that off. That'll be priority. Now, also remember, I have other things doing. I have bank runs to make. So sometimes it's a kind of coordinated. Now, like when you all are calling and I'm out of the office, I have an audit to submit things for by Wednesday, right? So when I say coordinate, it is difficult with the situation in the country. We are hoping that maybe things will change and this foreign exchange thing will be lifted. If it's lifted, life would go back to normal. You'll just pay me and I just go to the bank and you just send how much money you want to NEBOSH, right? There's no cap, there's no figure then to say foreign exchange limit. That's how it was before the pandemic, right? You'll just pay and the bank never had any trouble with wire transfers or whatever because it had no limit. But today we have a limit here. Of course, in Trinidad and Tobago, Devon could tell you he's in Guyana, that limit is not in Guyana. And that limit is in no other Caribbean country except in Trinidad. I've been to Grenada and Barbados as well. They don't have any such limit in those countries anyway. In fact, some of them are sort of laughing. They're actually laughing at Trinidad, that we have a limit on our own money. Your money that you paying for your exam have a limit on it, right? So that's the way this thing out anyway. All right, not even NEBOSH understands it, just to let you know, right? I have mentioned it to them. I don't know if they fully understand it. Sometimes some of them forget what I'm talking about because every month, remember, we have to pay them, right? Remember, we have your payment plan when we have to pay them, but it's even difficult for us to pay them. But we try. And this month is very tough because we have all these exams, we have all of these royalties to pay to NEBOSH. It's a bit of a tough one for the month of April. All right, but work with us with that, and we'll try to see how best we can get it done. I'm also going to make myself available, maybe like in the evening, if it's 8 o'clock in the night, 9 o'clock in the night. Some of you all, like you don't have time in the day. I don't have time in the day either. We can try to get some of those things done, as much as possible whenever we can get them done, right? But that's priority this week anyway, signing you all up for your oil and gas exam. Let's try another question. However, though, looking at the time, we wouldn't be able to hear too much of your responses. I would just have to ask who want to share a bit and maybe just take 2 or 3 responses, right? But if you came in late, we did not really choose this question. I just stopped at anyone because I felt as if I didn't want to give it too much of a knowledge-based question now, right? I thought that was a simple question. Um, let me see. That one could be kind of knowledge-based. You also had to do some reading, right? Try to do some reading. This is a nice one, number 3, right? So let me give you a chance to do this. Now, this is again going to be 10 minutes. I know you're not going to finish all 10. One of the reasons for that is because well, 10 and 13 is 23. I wouldn't get a chance to hear your response, right? So here what I wanted to do, I'll give you At most I could give you is 5 minutes. I didn't realize it was that late. The most I could give is 5 minutes and ask you to come up with 5 answers for this one. Or maybe half, maybe four. See if we come up with 4 answers for this question, right? When we come back on the live just now, I would give you some quick responses with it. It have some answers down here, but remember that I want to hear your answers now, not just what they have here, right? So a maintenance worker was severely burnt while disconnecting this joint in a pipe that previously contained a corrosive chemical. Outline possible causes of this accident, or should I say root causes of this accident. Take 5 minutes, see if we can come up with 4 responses, right? I'm going to be quiet for the next 5 minutes. All right, I'm back on. I tried to find a video here on the YouTube channel. Um, in the meanwhile, if anybody want to um kind of give us a start while I sort out a video here, right? We have. Mhm.
Yeah, so I have a couple of points. Inadequate hazard identification and risk assessment before the task, lack of personal protective equipment, ine- inadequate training on handling hazardous substances, and poor communication of the pipe's previous contents and
Right. I was listening, right? The second one. Could you just say about the second one?
the second one I had was lack of proper PPE.
Right. So I think these are sort of correct, but you have to put a little twist on them, right? So the twist is remember root causes, right? Is the fault of who? Anybody remember? Root causes is exactly whose fault. Like who would you target if it writing a root cause, a root
The
cause
individual.
okay, anybody else? The individual root causes. So I think it need a twist. So that's why
Root causes is go back to a systemic problem, a management system.
right. So it have to go back to manager. So Alicia, what you have to do with the PPE one, you have to twist it back into the manager. Like it should have probably been like a lack of resources to purchase the PPE. So that's it twisted. Root causes go back to the management. Folks, you all understand that? Because if it just say like PPE then, like a lack of PPE, it didn't quite say like who was at fault then. If it's the individual not wearing the PPE, but because root causes are management causes, you have to link it to like a lack of money or resources where the PPE is not being purchased in the first place. Tell me if you all agree. If you all understand what I just said there.
Agree.
Yeah. If you
Agreed.
look at the one comment NEBOSH have here, what they have, right?
Understood.
Candidates. Yeah, candidates. So yeah, remember with NEBOSH, you had to read, write, and spell for them. That's the thing, right? You can't remember, I mean, no offense, and I really, really hate this to come out as if it come out the wrong way. But let me try to say it in a diplomatic way that remember the people that's correcting the paper are not Trinidadians then, right? As far as I know, to be an examiner today, you have to be a British citizen. Um, and not to shall be open that up to the European Union, to the Commonwealth across there now, right? But you have to read, write, and spell for them when you're writing an exam, right? Like, so you have to come out and say, that you have to make the link between what you're saying and management. So they had their candidates had difficulty in distinguishing between immediate and root causes. So when they say lack of PPE there, like, again, I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way. I'm just trying to say what I know that examiners might not have given that a mark then, right? Because it isn't clear as to the root cause, right? They would just leave that. They would just leave that answer. They wouldn't put nothing next to it, right? It wouldn't get the one. But if it would like the one mark now. But if you twist it now, because the catch here is root causes is that of managers, right? Like all of these things here, they have what incorrectly answers, including lone work and no fire extinguishers. But do you know that no fire extinguishers could be correct? The only thing is you have to twist it. You have to twist it and say that it was the manager's fault then. Folks, you all understand that?
So,
The
Mr.
fire,
Shadrach, if we put PP in,
go ahead.
yeah, if we put PP not properly provided or not worn or inappropriate for the particular activity.
Now, if it's not one, well, then it wouldn't be managers. No,
Yeah,
like
but the
Crystal,
PP wasn't appropriate.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was inappropriate.
but then you have to, okay, but you have to say how. You have to say, so I can make that answer correct. I could say it was not appropriate or because of, like improper selection by the management. you have to keep blaming the managers. Like if it's a root cause problem, then like the one you said about being warned, I could twist that in. I could twist that into a correct answer. I could say that what was wrong here was that it was not supervised. The adorning of the PPE or the purchasing of the PPE was not properly supervised. So supervision is a management issue, so then it makes it a root cause problem, right? But you have to twist it. If it's root causes, you have to put the blame on the managers. No resources were provided. Instead of saying being warned incorrectly, you have to say that it was not supervised. So you put the blame out of the employees and you put the blame back on the managers. So you twist the point as a root cause problem then, which is like supervision. Supervision, resources. Now, Alicia did hear you say communication, so the communication one would have been correct. If you say communication from managers back down to the employees, then that would have made it correct. Right? So Alicia, thanks very much.
Okay, so
I hope you all
point.
learned from it. Anybody else want to have a go at it and see if we could help you all with it as well? Remember, this is everybody.
I could just add a couple.
Sure.
Yeah. The procedure for this job was, sorry, the worker was not following it.
Once you start working, it going wrong, eh? But anyway, go ahead.
No,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Let me hear the rest of it.
the following procedures that the worker was following, the following procedures the worker was following, sorry, the following procedures that the worker was using was not appropriate for this particular task.
Procedures, however, do fall under another type of
The pipe
causes.
rating that was selected for this task was not rated for the corrosive material.
But yeah, they put that back on the manager, that one. Like that latter one where they rated, you
The
could probably
selected
say like,
material, you're supposed to have some ratings for the piping.
yeah, I would have said like maybe you could easily say like the use of a proper specialist to decide on the rating was not it wasn't sourced by the management of the
So
company.
if they had selected improper pipe rating
from a managerial
so I need to
perspective.
put back management did not have the
Yeah, you
proper
need to
pipe.
put out everything. Yeah, that's what we're saying
Management
is
didn't
like,
choose,
yeah, everything needs to say
didn't choose the
management.
proper rating, correct rating for the piping that the worker was working with.
Or have the expertise or the consultation with a specialist to get the correct rating for the piping. Right? Just remember that. Now the one on process and instrumentation diagram, yeah. What about the
PNID that
PNID?
the worker was using was incorrectly drawn, hence leading to the flow. They just have the piping for the PNID showing the flow if it misaligned.
Yeah. All
And
right, I'll
also
give it
the
that
torque
one.
value is beyond the PNID.
So it was disconnected. Okay, I think those will kind of be correct, right? The comment I had with the procedure though, remember, just as is the last point, remember, if you'll remember, if you don't remember, write it here for you all, right? Remember, there are three causes of an accident. Immediate, let NEBOSH mentioned it here, right? Underlining and root, right? So immediate is taken to be that of the worker. You may wonder where I'm going with this, right? So immediate is taken that to be of the worker. But do you know underlining is taken to be that of procedures? So the procedure point, I don't know if you would have given it that correct, Devon, right? Underlining causes is a lack in a procedure. Root causes are due to management, MGT, right? Some examiners may give you like underlining causes correct, right? But like I just want to say the proper thing now, like procedures is not really a management. Sorry, I'm messing up this thing. You're trying to get a marker. Anyway, hopefully you saw this as management, right? MGT. Yeah, so procedures are understood to be underlying causes and not really management causes. right? But if you probably talk about maybe the development of the procedure from a managerial point was probably inadequate, then it would make it a management point. But procedures by themselves are understood to be underlying causes. Somebody was running, right? And they slipped. But the person slipped, right? They didn't look where they were going. That's an immediate cause. The underlying cause could have been like maybe the housekeeping policy or procedure was not being followed. Maybe the person who would mop is not present to mop today. And the root
Fully,
cause of
gotcha.
that could have been probably, like the one custodian, the company should have had hired another custodian. So then that's the management cause. Then the management cause is that you have, but you have inadequate or an inadequate number amount of cleaners. So that's the root cause as the management cause, right? All right, folks. We'll do this Sunday coming, right? I don't mind do another one. The other Sunday, I believe, is Easter Sunday, right? So I don't mind do another class with you all. I have nothing booked. Today's what, the 6th? Right, so I don't mind do another one with you next week, Sunday. I'm not too sure for Wednesday night. I said Wednesday, I want to have some stuff to submit to NEBOSH for an audit. So I want to kind of try to tackle that on Wednesday, right? I might give you Wednesday off. I give myself the evening off too, right? But Sunday we can do another one, Sunday the 13th. The other week is Easter Sunday, so we wouldn't have any classes, right? Folks are a little bit late for the other class. Do enjoy the rest of. I wouldn't call the roll. The truth is, no, I actually did bring the roll just now. But the thing is, I don't know if I have enough space in it because remember we finished our number of classes and we just I have space, man, so I'll call it, right? I have it on the rail, so I'll call the rail. But we have had our number of sessions already, right? But I did remember to bring it, right? Let me just call it to say that you were here, right? If you want, I could just call the names up here, and I would just call it, and I know some people left, right? So we have Akash, Shanil, I think left us. We have
Present.
Alicia. Hi. Okay, so we have Alicia Sultan. We have Crystal Thomas. I'm not calling it in order, I'm just calling it from below so I see it here, right? Alicia Kayan. But I'm marking it down on the road, right? Alicia Kayan. I have Christopher Gobin. We have Devon Lewis. Devon, you were signing up for your exam, right? I think I signed you up sometime. Yes. That is what, Sunday, Friday, or something. I'm not too sure if we get any confirmation because NEBOSH may have been closed at the time I sign you up then. Okay, right. So eight persons. Devon, Crystal, Jessica, Alfred. Yeah, so I think that was us, right? Rachel Thompson wasn't here. Naveen wasn't here. Stephen, yeah, okay, good. Raven wasn't here. Cohen Batiste wasn't here. All right. Folks, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll pick up again next week, Sunday, if there's anything, right? Or in the week from tomorrow because I have to start calling you all anyway. Yeah. Let me take this off, right?